the cousin of sleep and the parasite of life. There isn't a single person on this planet who won't experience it in some way, shape, or form. The feeling that someone or something will no longer truly be with us is a heartbreaking one, but it's inevitable. It's what makes life so beautiful. With that being said, let's talk about TV.
You can breathe, you can blink, you can cry. Hell, you're all gonna be doing that.
The death of a character is fascinating. The timing, the way it happens, the ramifications, it's all so purposeful. It can mark the beginning of a journey, the end of one, or be so controversial that it almost ruins a show for millions. Obviously, in most cases, death is something that is handled with the love and care that a character deserves.
That's okay. Just promise to plant me there.
But very rarely is a character's death so realistic that not only is it sad, but it's deeply uncomfortable. Enter Buffy. Buffy is unique. Much like a lot of the popular shows of that era, it is a trailblazer. It is, for better or for worse, the reason we have the CW as it is today. It launched teen dramas, and for the time, it was a landmark accomplishment for lead female protagonists. The show had a grand cast of characters with their own strengths, weaknesses, dynamics, and fun little quirks. And Xander was there too. Throughout the show, we see our main character Buffy grow as the Slayer, saving the world, dusting vampires, demons, and world-ending monsters. It seems like there's nothing she can't do and nobody she can't save.
Mom?
And then, there was someone. Season 5, Episode 16. The Body. After defeating a nerd who built a destructive robot girlfriend, Buffy comes home to find her mom dead. Not murdered or destroyed like the usual in the show, just dead. After the discovery and the theme song, we get a complete tone shift as we look into this fun, light, humorous Christmas dinner, almost like they want us to forget what we just saw.
Look, all we have to do is just cut off a little bit of the burnt.
Hard cut. What follows is an impressive oneer as we track Buffy from the discovery of the body to going to call 911 to giving her mom chest compressions. We don't get our first cut until she looks into the phone, and then it's cuts galore. They're quick, reflecting the urgency of the situation. And then...
We got her! My God, we got her!
Let's get her on the truck now. Call it in a...
oh damn. W revive.
Good as new.
Buffy, thank God you found me in time.
Nope. Sick, cruel hope. And as the paramedic goes to approach Buffy, his face gets cut off. Only the bottom of his mouth is visible. To me, this symbolizes both the routine. Paramedics do this daily. It's almost inhumane how often they see death. But it also shows Buffy's shock as she's just kind of grasping onto the words and just barely as they kind of fade. And she can't even associate them with a recognizable individual. I really wanted to focus on the first 10 minutes of this episode to really focus in on Joyce's death and the directorial choices that were made. The tracking, the quick cuts, the framing is all so unique. But there's also the use of negative space. Oftentimes, negative space is associated with the visual, and we see it plenty in this episode as it's used to emphasize the emptiness and the unsettling atmosphere. Every scene shows a character in a small part of the room. Even when they're grouped together, they're still just a small part in an even smaller room. With very little space, it still seems like the world is so huge and empty without Joyce. However, negative space can also be a tool used in sounds. Throughout this episode, there isn't a single non-diegetic film sound. meaning there's no music, no wonky sound effects, no anything. Everything that you hear in this episode comes from inside the world of Buffy, and that's on purpose. It's to make it feel emptier, like something's missing. Obviously, a reflection of the current situation. What hurts about this episode is the simple fact that the world moves on. The kids keep playing, people keep going where they need to be, and cops are still doing their jobs and giving out tickets. It's a cruel truth of the world that, despite the fact that we go through a heartbreaking loss, the rest of the world is unaffected and continues to keep moving forward. Also, shout out to this shot. I didn't have anywhere to put it in or anything to add with it. I just really like this shot. Now, I want to talk about the cuts, specifically in this section with the Scoobies. As we start with this scene, we have typical cuts and quick tracking shots as we watch Willow, filled with doubt over what to wear. And as her anxiety gets worse, the cuts get faster, until she has a mini snap. Tara calms her down, and everything seems to slow down again.
We can do this. Okay. We can be there for Buffy and Dawn.
Beautiful. But this episode is more than its composition. Buffy is a character-driven show, and each character reacts to this news in their own unique way. When Buffy initially finds her mom, she freaks, and while on the phone with the operator, she makes sure to correct them when she refers to Joyce as the body.
The body is cold.
No, my mom!
It's too late though. She's gone. From there on out, it's a series of random, almost thoughtless movements from Buffy as she disassociates. It really isn't until she remembers Dawn that she snaps back into her own body. And then, when Giles comes and unsuccessfully tries to resuscitate Joyce, Buffy says this:
We're not supposed to move the body!
Going back to what I said earlier, the world moves on, and we don't see that through many characters except for Dawn, who's still at school. After a rough run-in with the bully, we find her crying in the bathroom. Can't get much worse than this. It's about to get so much worse than this. As she begins rizzing up her classmate during an art class where the theme is kind of said out loud.
We're drawing the negative space around the object.
Buffy comes in and just crushes the vibes. Now, this isn't an extremely complicated or unusual reaction. It's just a brutally human one. And I love the way that we look at it. It's like we're a student in her class, watching her receive news that is so devastating and so heartbreaking. And we can just watch. That's all we can do. It's so simple, but so brutal watching a child find out that their mom just died. And as we move on to the rest of the gang, their reactions are so well written with each character. Willow, being the empathetic people pleaser, is a mess, frantically trying to find clothes that both respect Joyce and show respect to Buffy. She gets more frantic and begins sobbing until finally, a level-headed presence interjects. Tara is the anchor, a person that we find out later has been through this before. Instead of grieving herself, she allows others to grieve in front of her, being there to comfort them. A very selfless action for a very selfless character. The writing in this scene is just emphasizing the traits that we've already established beforehand. But with Xander, it's a little different. He's almost written in contrast to how he usually is, being more quiet, reserved, soft-voiced, not the quick-witted humor that he usually is. Thank God. But he's more than just quiet. He's angry, and he's looking for someone or something to blame.
Are they sure this was natural? I mean, Glory.
Giles is pretty sure that it wasn't her.
But, I mean, she said she was going to come after Buffy's family.
I don't
I mean, we should be going after her. I mean, she could have done it and covered her tracks.
And when he can't blame the supernatural, he blames people. The doctors who worked on Joyce and let her leave.
It's the frickin' doctors. I mean, they just let her out, you know? Clean bill of health. Dig a hole in your skull. Here's a Band-Aid. Next!
Xander.
They should have checked her over. They should have had her in. We don't have enough monsters in this town. The doctors gotta help them out. Things don't happen. I mean, they don't just happen.
Because he's right. In this show, people don't just die. People are murdered. People are sacrificed. People give up their lives for the plot. But this isn't one of those times. Joyce just died by freak circumstance. And that's what makes this so hard, is there's nothing anybody could do about it except accept it. There's no one to blame. There's no vengeance. There's no justice. It's just something that happened. And then there's Anya. To me, she kind of represents a child experiencing death. Being an immortal, she doesn't usually see people die this kind of way. In fact, she never sees it. So she doesn't understand, and naturally, she asks a lot of questions.
What's going to happen?
But what will we do?
So what do we do?
Are we gonna see the body?
What?
And then, when grief turns to anger, Willow snaps.
Are they gonna cut the body open?
Oh my God. Would you just stop talking? Just shut your mouth.
And dominoes fall.
I don't understand. I don't understand how this all happens. How we go through this. I mean, I knew her, and then there's just a body. And I don't understand why she just can't get back in it and not be dead.
The situation is only cooled down by Anya further explaining her lack of understanding and why she doesn't understand and why it's so frustrating to her that she doesn't understand. But just like the rest of us, we don't have an answer. We don't have an explanation.
We don't know how it works. Why?
The rest of the episode is pretty simple, a lot of comfort and sorrow, and a definitive reason for her passing, a result from a health issue that was established episodes back. Amazing. But the highlight is this moment between Buffy and Tara. This is where we understand where Tara's understanding comes from. She's been in Buffy's shoes. She's had to grieve a similar circumstance, and that gives us a moment between two characters that aren't very close through a brutal shared experience. The Body is one of the best, most underrated episodes of television that I've ever watched. The editing, the sounds, the framing, the shots are just so well put together to convey this feeling of somberness and emptiness. The way each character is written and how they process this death is nothing short of amazing. I've watched a lot of TV, and I've seen a lot of death in TV, but never has it felt so realistic than in this episode. This wasn't some sad goodbye or a shocking murder, a heroic grand finale. This was just death in its purest form. Snatching somebody on a random day with no remorse for the fallout or the damage that it will do to other people. And there's nothing that can be done about it. An episode like The Body isn't one that can be written lightly either. With Joyce, she was dating, she was looking forward to the future, she had the tumor removed, so this wasn't something that was expected, but it was something that was there already, if that makes sense. It's so wonderfully planted, and at the same time, you never see it coming. It's something that you should strive for. The Body, despite being a magnificent episode, is a hard watch. Not hard because you know who's gonna die and you dread it, but hard because it's a little too real. Next video, I'll be talking about Seth MacFarlane. Have a good one.